Good morning and welcome to this live stream brought to you by the Hutt Valley Chamber of Commerce. This morning I'm joined by Josie Askin from Spring Coaching. Thanks for coming along, Josie.
Thank you for having me. It's so exciting.
It's really good. Josie joined the Chamber at the end of last year actually, and is a new business, and found us through the Wellington Region Business Expo that we ran last year. So Josie's business is about working with business owners and businesses to help them be on the top of their game. And so this morning we're looking at what it takes to balance all the competing challenges that we all face in our business environment this year. And one of the things that doesn't come through very often in a lot of the media and that sort of thing is that while we all know we face labour shortages in business right now, it actually puts a lot of pressure on people who are currently employed and who are currently trying to run businesses in really challenging situation in a very changing environment. So Josie's expertise this morning, I'm sure, will help many of you to help to adjust to the pressures you're under and get the most out of your work day as well as your own personal time as well. So Josie, thank you for joining us this morning and thank you for sharing your expertise.
Thank you for such a nice, lovely, warm welcome. It's great.
You're welcome.
So I'm a very visual person, so I've got some presentation slides to show you. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and all going well, you'll be able to see what we can see. Fingers crossed. Oh, it worked. Hopefully you can all see my screen right now. So as Helen said, I'm all about helping people be on top of their game, and I refer to elite corporate athletes, so I weave in the learnings from the sporting world into the business world. But I want to spend a little bit of time just introducing myself, because I'm sure like many of you watching wherever you are, you wear a lot of different hats. So for myself, I'm a business owner, I'm a facilitator, I'm also a speaker, I teach Pilates, and that's just in my work life. In terms of my home life, I'm a wife, daughter, sister, aunt to many nieces and nephews. There's a lot going on. And I'm sure it's the same for all of you. And one thing I've found is that whenever I ask to people, what's one thing that you would like more of? So if I was a genie and I was to grant you one wish, what would you wish for? And it's always the same thing. Helen, what would you wish for? One wish.
Well, if I had one wish, I always look for more time.
Yeah.
There's never enough time at home. There's never enough time with people you love. There's never enough time to get all the work done. There's never enough time at work.
Absolutely. And I think we all feel the same thing. It's just not enough hours in the day to do everything. And so I'd like to introduce you to a concept which I call the cycle of being too busy. I'm sure it's something that resonates with all of us. And so often what happens is we make promises to ourselves of things that we're going to do. Perhaps we promise to spend more time with our family, to go to the gym at lunchtime, maybe to go out for a nice walk around the block at lunchtime like we did during lockdown. Perhaps drink more water, perhaps less wine, perhaps not to pick up takeaways after a long meeting after work and to cook a nutritious home-cooked meal. And of course, try and get more sleep to go to bed on time. And often, invariably, what happens is this happens. We run out of time. We just don't have all the time to do all the things that we want to do. And so we don't do these things. And then how do you feel, Helen, when you don't keep the promises that you've made for yourself?
Well, you feel disappointed, actually, don't you? You just feel disappointed and frustrated, I think that just breeds anxiety and a bit of stress, really.
Absolutely. You just feel really frustrated. You start thinking, why can't I do this? What's going on? And so then we make more promises to ourselves and we decide that next week is going to be different. And I'm sure you can guess the cycle continues. And so I'm sure that this is a cycle that resonates with a lot of different people. And this cycle is what I've based my business on. So what I do is I help driven business owners and leaders be on top of their game. And you may be asking, why do I do this? Well, I'm trying to prevent this happening. What you may not know is that the biggest reason that businesses stop trading is actually due to business owner illness or injury, and that's at 69%. So it's not the financial viability of the business, it's not a change in mind, it's not moving locations, it's the health and well-being of the business owner. And it's a pretty staggering statistic when you think about it. That's almost 7 in 10. And for our team leaders, I want to help team leaders to avoid being sidelined, not being able to deliver, team not performing as well as they can. So reducing the likelihood of being sidelined. And so what does being on top of your game means? Well, whether or not you're an athlete or a leader or manager an organisation delivering a proposal, whether you're a rock star on stage or perhaps a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, being on top of your game means being in a state of flow, where things are coming together, where you feel like you're reaching your potential. Everything, it's like the stars have aligned for you. Have you felt like that?
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, don't you think? Yeah. So how do we get to the top? Well, to get to the top, it requires a step-by-step game plan with a strategy to action. So we need to know what it is that we want to achieve. And then because success breeds success, we need to break that down into small chunks, because I believe that even the impossible can become possible when you just break it down into small wee steps. But then we need to have something to make all this thinking, all the strategic planning actually happen. So we need something to turn it into action, and that gets us on top of our game. Now, unfortunately, stay on top. It's a whole different matter. And unfortunately, it's not exciting and it's not sexy, but it requires consistency and it requires balance. So when you think about it, in order to be on top of our game, we need to know what it is we need to achieve. We need to have that step-by-step game plan. And then once we get there, we need consistency and balance. How does that all sound to you?
Yeah, so I think that people think about getting there and then the consistency and balance to stay there is easily forgotten.
Yes.
Like people can lose weight, for example, but how do they maintain it?
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I believe it was Aristotle that talked about excellence as a habit. It's something that we do every single day, and that's what creates excellence. It's not just the one-off run around the block once a week or whatever it is. It's every single day. It's those small wins that add up. So I want to share a story with you, and many of you have probably heard the story already. And it's about this wise professor that was standing in front of a lecture theatre, and he holds up a jar to the students in the lecture theatre, and he starts to place some large rocks in the jar. And he holds up the jar again, and he says to the class, "Is my jar full?" And the students look at the jar, and they say to the wise professor, "Why, yes, it's full." What he then does is he gets a bag of stones or little pebbles, and he pours the pebbles into the jar, then gives it a bit of a shake, holds it up again to the class and says, "Is my jar full?" And of course, the lecture theatre starts to giggle and say, "Oh yes, your jar was full to start off with, and now it's even more full." And so what the wise professor does next is he gets a bag of sand and he pours the sand into the jar and again gives a bit of a shake, and all the sand falls into the little cracks that the rocks and stones have left behind. And so then the professor lifts up the jar and says, "Is my jar now full?" And the students say, "Why, yes, it is full. It was full to start off with. It's even fuller now, and now it's even more full." So if you think about the jar as being your life and those big rocks as being the things that are most important to you, by placing those in first, you'll have a fulfilling life. If you try and do it the other way around, I don't know if you've ever tried to pour sand, then stones, and then rocks into a jar. It doesn't work. If you start off with the small things, you aren't able to make time for the big things. And so that's a really valuable lesson to keep in mind throughout your day-to-day living, to always focus on the big things first. So I want to share a tool with you that many of you may have already seen, and it's something I share with my clients very regularly, and it's Stephen Covey's time management matrix, where he plots urgency versus importance. Now, often in our really, really busy life, we spend most of our time in this quadrant. And I refer to this quadrant almost like the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. It's all the urgent, important stuff that we do yesterday. And this is the thing that creates that feeling of stress and overwhelm. When we're always trying to do the things that we do yesterday, we always feel stressed out. And also it's a very short-term focus. It just leads to overwhelm, burnout, and often the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. So this isn't a nice place to spend much time. However, this quadrant's interesting because later on, we'll talk about this a bit more, but half of these activities that we do in this kind of urgent, important state once belong to another quadrant, which is pretty interesting, that tasks canoe. This next quadrant, the urgent and important stuff, again, this is quite a short-term focus in business, and this is often the stuff that's important to other people. So perhaps it's those phone calls that keep propping up, or emails, or meetings. It's things that don't necessarily have a long-term focus and are often important to other people. So it can result in you feeling like you don't have control of your life, perhaps even a victim, perhaps can even lead to feelings of resentment. But the thing I like about this quadrant is when you really stop and you analyze the things that are happening in this quadrant, often these things are stuff that you can delegate to someone else. And I know that for many of us, delegation can be a hard thing to do because we want to appear nice, we don't want to appear bossy. But actually, if you think about delegation as being a gift, where you get to empower someone else to actually step up and take responsibility, it's a different perspective. What do you think about delegation?
So it's reasonably difficult to, when people call you bossy, they call me bossy, it comes across as a negative.
Yes.
And actually, I think it's something that has to be appreciated because lots of people can't delegate. There's a real art of delegating and not just removing all responsibility.
I agree.
There's a balance there as well.
Yes, and I believe that when delegation is done right, it's certainly a win-win. And so when you look at the things that perhaps fall in this quadrant, are there wins that you can give to somebody else by delegating it? Not to, say, here you go and offload, but really to support somebody else to develop them. So this third quadrant, the not urgent and the not important. So this is where a lot of us end up spending some of our time, particularly in the evenings. And when we're spending time in this quadrant, it's often that place where you start to wonder, where has the time gone? Time just drifts by. And it's different for each of us in terms of what we're doing here. For some of us, it may be social media scrolling. That's a great time waster. For others, it might be binging on Netflix. And I'm not saying that we should never spend any time in this not urgent and not important quadrant, but we really want to try to minimize our time here because, well, one, it's not urgent, and two, it's not important. And it's a far more important place for us to spend our time. And this is our final quadrant here. And this is my absolute favorite quadrant because this is where the magic happens. And I refer to this as staying in the green. To avoid being sidelined, you want to spend your time in the green. So this stuff isn't urgent. It's not due yesterday or right now, but it's still really important. When you think about that, Helen, what are the things that you think about would fall in? And so these would be like your big rocks.
So not urgent and important for me is taking my dog for a walk, actually.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
Doing some
well-being.
exercise. Yeah, doing some exercise, maybe on the exercise cycle in the evening or, just going for a walk.
Absolutely. So in terms of health and well-being and performance, it's all those things that nourish you and make you feel good. In terms of the business sense, it's the long-term thing. It's a strategic planning, lining up all your ducks in a row so you don't have to do tasks that were due yesterday. It's thinking ahead, planning. And when we spend time in this quadrant, we make time for our important big rocks, you'll find that you actually spend less time in the urgent and important. So you remember that I asked that question about where did half the activities that were in our red quadrant previously sit? Well, they were actually once upon a time not urgent and important, but because they weren't urgent, we didn't make time for them. So that's a really key learning here. So key takeaways, here we go. Do you like a good takeaway?
I prefer my home cooked food, actually.
I do too.
I do
too. So my biggest tip is to consistently spend time in the green, to actually schedule time for those big rocks, the important things, the walks with the dog, whatever it is that nourishes you and makes you feel on top of your game. We want to spend as much time there as possible. Knowing, of course, that life does happen. There will be some urgent, important things that you have to do, but to regularly schedule time for the green. So how to create change? And I've touched on a little bit of this already. So the first thing is you need to have a goal. The brain likes direction. And I don't know if you've ever tried this little trick where if you type something like, do not give me information about Spain into Google, what happens? Spain is the keyword and you get information about Spain from Google. So it's really about being clear about what it is that you want to achieve, but also knowing your why, because knowing your why is so important in terms of motivation. Then you need your step-by-step game plan and make those steps as small as you can because you want to feel confident every step along the way so that you succeed. Now, this is where I really add value, and this is about bridging the gap between what you say you're going to do, all those promises that we talked about at the start when we had our too busy cycle, and what you actually do. So it's about finding what are the barriers that are preventing you from doing all of those things that you want to do. Is it time or is there something else? And so is it about prioritization or time management? And it's about consistency and balance. And you get to be on top of your game. And now there are two ways that you can do this. You can certainly DIY, you can do this by yourself, or you can work alongside a coach like myself to really take you along the process and hold you accountable, particularly when you're looking to bridge that gap between what you say you're going to do and what you're actually going to do. So that's just a little small morsel of what I do every single day with my clients. But I'm really excited to tell you about a wonderful opportunity that I have at the moment. And it's called Springboard to Success. And I'm actually about to beta test it. And so what I'm really hoping is that there may be some chamber members who'd be keen to be recruited to be part of my beta test for me in terms of this new program called Springboard to Success. So you remember we talked about the cycle of too busy. If this cycle of too busy resonated with you, you're going to really like this challenge because it's about creating small, healthy habits every week that are proven to help you be on top of your game. So it's really great for those people that want to feel healthier, they want more energy, but life just gets so confusing and so busy that you don't know where to start. So this gives you a structure. So I won't read through all of these, but these are some of the results that you can expect to have as part of the Springboard into Success program. So it's really about productivity, resilience, feeling more calm and confident, being able to sleep better, something I know we could all do with, and gaining essential you time, and ultimately feeling on top of your game. So it is a 10-week course, and how it works is that every week you'll receive a weekly challenge direct to your inbox, and I'm also creating an online members portal where people can just log in and receive the information. There'll also be a weekly webinar with me where I'll provide some practical tips for success so you can achieve each of these weekly challenges, but there's also the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. So it's really about setting you up for success and giving you something small that you can focus on each week from the 3 pillars of wellbeing. I often talk about holistic approach to wellbeing, being mindset, movement, and nutrition, because I believe that we are how we think, move, and eat. It takes all 3 to feel truly on top of your game. And then because what gets measured gets managed, there's also going to be a journal to track your progress and to make some reflections along the way. So these are important things to know. You do need to get in quick. So the beta test is going to be limited to 10 people, and it actually starts in a couple of weeks' time because, today's the day, so it starts on 21st of June. And because it's a beta test, I'm actually doing it at a reduced price because I just really want to test things out and see how it goes. So the course is valued at over $500, but because of the beta testing, I'm hoping that I'll get some keen recruits on board to provide feedback and help me make it even better. I'm offering it at a reduced price for only $249. So very exciting. It's something I've been planning for so long, so it's great to have it all come together. And that's pretty much me. So if you're interested, please do get in touch.
Great. So Jess, that's really interesting. So when did you create this program?
It's been in the pipeline for many, many months. I started researching actually what are the small things that we can do to improve our health and well-being. And I found that there's about 12 different things. And so then I tried to really hone it down into the top 10 things that I think will really make a difference to how you feel, both in terms of how you think, how you move, but also how you eat. And the little things that you can fit into a busy day, because I know how busy we all are. And so I wanted to make sure that each of these challenges was something that, if it appealed to you, if it worked for you, you can make into a daily habit. So it's a new way of living.
And did you create it because of what is in your background that helped you get to that point of creating?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So my background, so I've had over 15 years working in the corporate environment before I set up Spring Coaching. I was also a long distance runner. And so I wanted to weave those principles of all of my training into the program. So it is things about rest and recovery, snacking and movement. A lot of people say that they don't have time to exercise, but in actual fact, it's only a few minutes of exercise will actually deliver the same benefits as about 30 minutes of exercise. So it's about me reflecting on all the different little things that I've introduced over the course of my life that really made a difference to help me get to where I am today.
Right. So a lot of your sports training as an athlete is behind the development of this program.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not just for athletes, it's for everyone,
Yeah. So you can take those lessons and then apply them to everyday life for all sorts of people.
Yeah. So excited, that's going to be great.
Yeah, excellent. And have you seen any other programs like this?
Not with the same holistic approach. There's a lot of like weight loss programs or nutrition programs, but nothing that kind of encompasses the mindset, the movement, and nutrition.
Right.
And it's all about helping people be on top of their game, have more energy, be more productive, manage your time better, noting, of course, that we're all so busy that it has to be something small and mighty that'll make a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. And really important in this environment of so much challenge, isn't it? Yeah. And are you based here in the Wellington region?
Yeah, so I'm based in Lower Hutt for a few days a week, and then I also work in the central city of Wellington as well. So I like to share the love. Yeah.
And can people join your program from anywhere? Because it's all online, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole program is online, so you can join from anywhere. The challenges will be sent online, also via email, and then the webinars will be online as well. So anywhere in the world can sign up.
Great. Excellent. And you'll support that through your new website?
I will, yes. So thank you for mentioning that.
You know.
I've just published a brand new website, which is very exciting. So please check it out, www.spring-coaching.co.nz. And yes, and that you'll see a members portal where if you do sign up for the course, you'll be able to access all the training material and other resources there on the portal and the website.
Excellent. Great. Well, it seems to me like it's worth trying, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And good time with it being a beta test as well.
Yeah, as a beta test, then it's good to have that input in and be able to help shape the program. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And for anyone in business, any employee or employer?
Yeah, anyone. So whether it be the leader, staff members, it's really suitable for everyone. I actually tried it on my parents. Must be last year, and they loved it. So there you go.
Yeah, excellent. Cool. Okay, so I hope you find that useful. I think that we're all looking for more time. I know we're all rushing around trying to get things done.
So all those promises.
Yeah, all those promises, not only to yourself but to other people that you make as well. To get things done. So certainly an option if you find yourself in that situation, and what we've shared this morning resonates with you. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing your expertise. And before I just as we sign off, can I let you know that the Hutt Valley Chamber has a whole range of events on at the moment. I think we've actually got 3 today. So we've got this live stream. We've had a workshop on digital this morning. We've got another workshop this afternoon. We have the Minister of Finance with us next week talking about the budgets. We've got a Women in Business coming up. We've got a Tech Series event coming up. So we've got a very big calendar of events underway now that we're all, touch wood, reasonably safe right at the moment. So let's hope that is maintained. Do have a look on our website, hvchamber.co.nz, and take a look at our events. And they're open for members and non-members. So it's just the fee structure is different. We thank you to all our members who do support us on a regular basis, so that we can provide all our support services to business. But if you're not a member, then you're welcome to come along at the non-member rates as well. So all sorts of things happening over the next couple of months, a lot of events and programs to help businesses adapt to this world that we are operating in. So thank you again, Josie. I hope you get some people signing up to your program. Because I know many people are looking for a small amount of help just to get through the challenges of work, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you.